Welcome. Thanks for joining me for this talk. Today we will be talking about 3 different ways of building chatbot with Microsoft technology. First of all, a little bit about myself. I have a beautiful family of 2 children and I'm managing partner and senior consultant at Arinti, which is a consulting firm in Belgium focused on the Microsoft AI stack. I'm a newly awarded Microsoft AI MVP. Very happy with that. It's always fun to do a lot of work for the community and share your knowledge. So therefore, I'm also a core member of DataMind, the Microsoft data platform community in Belgium. But also I'm part of the global AI community where I'm the host of the AI Talks Live, a bi-weekly YouTube show where we get guests who will talk about certain topics. Enough about myself. Today we're going to discuss what are chatbots, then we will discuss 3 different flavors, bot framework SDK, we'll talk about the composer, which is quite new and still in preview, the Power Virtual Agent, and I'm still going to add one more that is not new, but many times forgotten about. And then we'll discuss a couple of tools that we use within our chatbots, and we'll talk a little bit about pricing. Alright, a chatbot. What is a chatbot? Well, actually a chatbot is just an application like any other application. The main difference with it is that a chatbot has different inputs. Now, as you can see in the picture here on the slide, you see a person is asking for a fiets. A fiets is a bicycle in Dutch. And well, even when we have a conversation with someone, a fiets, it could be a little bike for a child with 3 wheels, or it could be a bike with just 1 wheel. I have no idea what the English word for that is. Or it could be a bike where you can sit with 2 people on, or even just a normal bike. And even then, are we talking about a mountain bike, or are we talking about a bicycle for racing? There's different things, and that's the hard part about bots. It's understanding what humans are saying. Now, except the inputs, we also have the user experience that is totally different. Where in an application you can play around with visuals as much as you want and have interactions. While with the bots you're limited to text, although you can add also images and adaptive cards and so on. So there are some ways to make it a bit more attractive, as you could say, but of course most of the hard part is the text. Now, chatbots are nothing new at all. The first chatbot was developed in the 60s. It was created by Joseph Weizenbaum. He's a professor at MIT, but sadly he died in 2008. And his chatbot was built to mimic human conversations, and it was actually built to caricature human conversations and act a bit like a psychologist. And funny enough, it really worked well, since people were really telling their problems to the chatbot. There's still many places online where you can try out Eliza and see how it reacted. But the way how he programmed it was really the basis of how NLP is done right now. Well, at that time, experts declared that chatbots would be, well, you wouldn't see any difference between a human or a chatbot. And just in a couple of years after that, well, we're 2020 now, that's 60 years later, and we can still see the difference between a chatbot and a human. How many years do we already hear that we will have self-driving cars that, well, we're close by, but there's still a lot of gaps and issues with it. Now, back to bots, why is it still hard to find to see a difference between a chatbot and a human? Well, there's an important test, and it's called the Turing test. So the Turing test says that a computer needs to have the capability of thinking like a human. Now, that's possible to specific topics, but there's no chatbots that can answer every question, that can discuss biology and can discuss engineering at the same time, for example. You have bots like Watson and so on. But still, there's limits to it. But we know it's okay. It's not always necessary. When we're building chatbots for our customers, they don't need to be able to talk about everything. They're built for specific use cases or specific topics. Now, what kind of ways can we build chatbots with the Microsoft technology? Well, the first one is Bot Framework SDK, a software development kit. And if you go to the description that is given by Microsoft to what the Bot Framework SDK is, I wanted to pick out a couple of interesting sentences. Let me just take my highlighter. So it says need to have a comprehensive experience. So you need to have a good way of building it, easily model and build sophisticated conversations, which is very important. So we don't just want easy things, because then again, as a human, we are quite very sophisticated, and easy conversations are what babies do or small children do. As adults, we have very difficult conversations, and we need to keep in mind certain things that have been said already to go on in the next conversation. Now, very interesting also one is favorite programming languages. We'll see later on in what programming languages we can use to build chatbots with Bot Framework SDK. Conversion free form. We do not just want to click buttons, because if you have a conversation with someone, it's not always going to end with and how are you doing? You can choose between the options I'm good, I'm not good, or I'm horrible. It's an open conversation, so we need to keep track of that. But there again, we have freeform, but we need to have also the guided interactions. So as I said before, you can ask questions. Are you agreeing with that? And give the user the possibility to answer with yes or no instead of an open answer. Simple text, so a user can just answer with text, or we can, as a bot, we can just show answers with the text, or we can also show complex rich cards with the adaptive cards, as we might know already, that is built in within Windows. There's a way to show images of the weather, for example, or flights and so on. And then, of course, most importantly, you want to add natural language interactions. Maybe you do not always want to say the same thing over and over. A welcoming message can change over time. You want to say good morning or afternoon or good evening, or give it more personalized. Take the user's name with it if you already know it, because maybe the user has used the chatbot already a previous time. Now, the Bot Framework SDK is an open source product. The first commit was done on the 4th of March 2016, not as the slide says 206, that would be a long time ago. But during that time, well, since I made the slides, there were 124 releases already and over 155 contributions, so that's quite nice. Now, it all started with the Bot Framework SDK for C#. In the meantime, we have JavaScript and Python also, and now it's also in preview to build the chatbots in Java. Now, the fun thing about it is that with the Bot Framework SDK, you can build one chatbot, but show it on a lot of different channels or use adapters to make it available. Now, everything what you see here with an A is the one that are by default available through the Microsoft Channel Registration, which is a resource that can be added to your Azure tenant that will connect to your chatbot Bot Framework SDK, which is actually a web API. Now, just by activating that, okay, and for certain channels, you will need to do some extra things, like for Facebook and so on. You need to get extra authorization from Facebook to be able to connect. You need to check your chatbot and so on. But otherwise, it's just a click and it's active. We have a couple of others, like WhatsApp is possible, but at the moment only through Twilio, which is a provider for WhatsApp. And even there you need to have good reasons to be able to use WhatsApp, because they do not allow everything. But you can use it also on your smart speaker, on your Amazon Alexa, your Google Home, and so on. Now, how does it look? Well, it's pure coding. I'm going now to Visual Studio. I'll show you some little things so you have a bit of an idea how it's done. Of course, we cannot put this whole talk about building chatbots with Bot Framework SDK. That's a whole workshop of a day, but we will start with just having a small look to certain things. So I'm here in Visual Studio and I have two projects here. One is an Echo bot and one is a core bot. These are basic templates that you can find by Microsoft. Just want to go full screen. Okay. So the first one, the Echo bot, it always starts at the bot side. So we have our Echo bot. And actually here we have two functions. And the first one is when a new member got added into the conversation. And so as a user, you connect to the bot. So the bot recognizes, okay, there's someone new. And it sends me just hello and welcome message. And it does that for each member he gets. Now, when the user now sends a message to the bot, we go to the onMessage activity. And on that moment, we get the activity from the user, which contains text. And that part we will just create and send it back to the user. So that's why this bot is also called the Echo bot. It will always reply with what you have said. This is the simplest chatbot you can build. Now, if we go to the core bot, which is a bit more complicated because it makes use of Lewis. We will see later on also what Lewis does. But we'll go to the dialog bot, if I'm correct. Sorry, dialogues. So a conversation will exist out of different dialogues. And we will see that the main dialogue will be started. And the main dialogue says, if we see here, it will call certain types of dialogues that we will call other dialogues. Now what we want to do is we want to call the booking dialogue. And if you go to the booking dialogue, we'll see also that exists out of a waterfall dialogue. A waterfall dialogue is different steps or questions that you need to ask to be able to go through the whole flow of questions. Now, here we see each time we have different steps. So we have asking for destination, asking for origin. So this bot is about booking a flight, asking the travel date, confirm, and then finalize. Now, this is exactly the same as what we saw with the Echo bot. Instead, we're not echoing, of course, what the user is saying, but we're immediately going to answer with the text that we want to say. So we have here a message that is sent to the user. So destination step message, and we see here that's where would you like to travel to. Now, what is quite interesting is by using this, for example, this message factory text, we see we're adding this value twice. Now, the first time is to show it visually. The second part is already to enable your chatbots to work with voice control. So by adding the second one, which is the SSMLE, we are adding already, when there's a voice added to the bot, that same sentence will also be set by the text-to-speech engine. Now, the next of the questions are just the same. Other questions, we have a text prompt. Here we're checking dates. And we have also, I think it's the last one, a confirmation step. Now, this is just question answer by the user to get all the data that is needed. And then since it's just in code, you can call any other backend system to write your data to. If we go, and now I lost where that file was standing. My excuses for that. Okay. So, this bot also has Lewis configured. So if someone says something, the text will be sent first to Lewis. Lewis will recognize what the user meant, and does he want to book a flight, or does he want to change a flight, or so on. So by sending it to Lewis, it will return to me what intent, we will see later on also what exactly that is, the user wants to do. So in that case, for example here, book a flight, then the booking dialog that we just discussed will be started. As I said, this talk is not about purely how to build a chatbot with Bot Framework SDK, but just to give you an overview of the possibilities. Now, Bot Framework SDK was the first one. Second one is Bot Framework Composer. I've been looking forward to use Bot Framework Composer for a long time. Within our organization, we've been trying to build something equally, just to have something where users have a more visual UI to build chatbots. Now, Bot Framework SDK, you could also call it SDK++. It's an add-on on the Bot Framework SDK, and it's actually a visual canvas for building your conversation flows. It has immediately editing of your language understanding, your Lewis. I will show you also in a bit how that works. It has everything built in for training it, and also for connection to Q&A Maker, also a tool I will discuss later on. It has great systems for language generation and for building templates. How does it look? Well, it's a building tool where you can just click things on, fill in some items and so on. But I will give you a demo about that right now. So the Bot Framework Composer, since a week or two, we have the first pre-release. It's still a tool that is in preview, but we have a pre-release that you can just install on your computer that doesn't need to be built, that you need to run with Docker and so on. So I have a small bot that I want to show you. So we have our dialogues, as we discussed before. You have dialogues, for example, the booking dialog and so on. So now I click the demo bot main and we have our greeting. The greeting will just say, okay, welcome at the boring bot. How can I help you? Or, hi, I am the boring bot. What can I help you with? Now, this is part of language generation. In this case, each time you start the chatbot, it will pick out a sentence, or it will answer with this one, or it will answer with this one. Now, the most fun part about this is that you can put all kinds of switch statements in it, like taking in mind what kind of day of the week it is, or what time of the day it is. And you can also use variables within it. So we'll check that later on. Now, I want to build a chatbot where you can ask the Boring Company, which is the website of the company of Elon Musk also, which builds some serious tunnels to release pressure on traffic jams. So what did I do? Well, first of all, here in this part, I asked as a recognizer type Lewis. So everything that I say needs to be sent to Lewis to be able to understand what I meant. So I added a trigger if as a user I say I want a tunnel, or that says can I get a tunnel in Belgium, or can I get a tunnel in Ghent, and that's intent is more than 70%, then okay, start this dialog. So we created a new dialog, the begin dialog. And what we do first is what is actually very important, is we say that we're setting a new variable property within our dialog. Dialog tunnel location equals to tunnel location. Now this tunnel location is what we have configured here. So based on, this is the Lewis part, I will go back later on that, but these are the entities of your Lewis. So when I say something, it will recognize what I want to do, but might get already certain details out of the same sentence. So we go back to our order tunnels. So I just set that parameter, and then I'm asking the question, okay, where would you like us to drill a tunnel? And we set some extra items, and like what's the property that needs to be set. Once we have that, we just confirm it. We say, great, so you want the tunnel in this location. And we can do some extra checks. So here I'm asking, so you want a tunnel in, let's say, US. And then we double check, okay, if the user confirmed, so we have here yes or no. If the user confirmed yes, okay, then awesome, let us write this down and we'll come back to you. Or, well, that's weird since you told me you want a tunnel in this in there. So if I go now to, okay, where is my composer now? Okay, test an emulator. Second, still starting. Okay. So, welcome at the boring bot. How can I help you? If I restart the conversation, see, so sometimes it says, hi, I'm the boring bot. And then other times, welcome at the boring bot. How can I help you? So, I'm asking now, I want a tunnel. And then it gives me an error, which is not the purpose. A video doesn't need to be, I want a tunnel. We'll just keep it for that at the moment. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, let's just try it again. I had been playing a little bit before the demo and I guess I broke something. So I want a tunnel. Then it will go into the conversation. Sorry, I forgot to publish my bot, so I want a tunnel. Okay, so where would you like us to drill a tunnel? From Ghent, but let's say I don't want it in Ghent. We'll say Bruges. Okay, so you want a tunnel in Bruges? Yes, it's right. That I will come back to you. Okay, let's redo this. I want a tunnel in Nairobi. So you want a tunnel in Nairobi. Did you notice he's not asking me again what question? Well, he didn't ask me where do you want to build it, because you already gave it within your sentence. So that's the power of Lewis. So you want a tunnel in Nairobi, yes, and then it just goes on. Alright, so that was Bot Framework Composer. As you might see also, it's still quite some code. It's low code, but you still need to keep track of a lot of details. But therefore, we got a new tool that got released during Ignite in November, and that was the Power Virtual Agent. Now, just as the title says, 1, 2, 3, it means a quick startup and production time. It's code-free, so it's perfect for business or subject matter experts, and there's not really a need for AI expertise or developers. It has an easy way to build multi-turn conversations and understand input. And while the good thing is it talks back to backend systems out of the box and even has authentication through any OAuth system. The nice thing also, it has built-in monitoring. So you have a good overview of the number of users, but also what is going well or what is not going well. Now let's have a look of how it's done. So we go to powerva.microsoft.com. We create a new bot. We will call it just demo bot at the moment, and create. This only takes a couple of seconds. It's a nice animation, by the way. And what we see here on the left side is our menu. We have topics, entities, analytics, publish, and manage. We'll start with topics. And we see that we already have a basic list of topics that can be discussed. For example, greetings. So if we go and test our bot and we just say good afternoon, we will immediately have a response from our bot and it will do what is necessary. So now we went through the system topics, but now let's try something that we can build ourselves. We'll go through a simple one first. So you have a trigger phrases. Trigger phrases are the sentences that the user will say that will start or will try to start the dialogue or the topic. And every topic has an authoring canvas, which is where the whole flow of your questions are. So in the beginning, again, we see our trigger phrase, and then the bot will answer, okay, I'm happy to help with store hours, but let's just try it. So what are the store hours? Notice the writing mistake. It doesn't matter to that. And it will go through the flow that was just built here. What we get now after the question is feedback questions. That is purely for reporting. But again, it's built in. So as a user, you don't need to do anything to get these things. So again, to say also, this is really a tool for business users. There's no code at all. Now, if you go back to the topics, we take another basic one that is built, well, as a demo wise, where we use some conditions and variables. So this is one to help you buy items, and user can say, okay, help me with deciding what product I need, or specifically I want a business laptop. So we saw here that he can choose different options. I'm a gamer, I'm a business user, or just for home use. And depending on that, he will propose you a specific product and add it to your cart. So let's just restart our conversation of the test bot. Wait a second to load again. So I want a business laptop, and you will notice, well, immediately he will propose me a business laptop and ask me to add it to the shopping cart. So it automatically recognizes the word business in it, and because of that, it doesn't ask me the question anymore, okay, what kind of user are you, as we see here. Because the variable has already been set before. And that's saved within entities. So we have different basic entities already, so recognizing colors and so on. And here on the bottom wise, you have a closed list, which is a usage type where we have home user, gamer, or business user with some synonyms. So it doesn't always need to be exactly the same word. So you go back to our authoring canvas. We see we have an option here. We see usage type here that is used, the entity. And if we click here, we have skip question, and there it will ask us if we want to skip the question if the variable is already filled in, or if we want to ask it every time. Now, on the analytics part, it's a reporting side. It's a Power BI report that you cannot alter, but it has a nice overview already of quite some numbers. This example, of course, it's a new bot, it's not in production, so it's also empty. So you'll not have so much items. Then we have the publish part, easy way to publish, to share it with your users. You have a demo website to easily show it also before you bring it into production. And there on manage, we have all the different channels where you can add this kind of bot, where we can also have authentication. So you want to check who you're talking to first. This is possible with any OAuth authentication. And then we have skills, and skills is like a bot that is built in Bot Framework SDK that you want to add to this Power Virtual Agent in case you want to do more advanced stuff. So you can also create new topics. Let's say take an action. With this one, I would like to show that a bot doesn't need to be just saying something and answering something, but that you can actually do something also. So we're just gonna send a message to the user, I'm going to take some action, and then we have the function call an action. Now this will show up available Power Automate tasks, and within your permissions that you can see. And these ones then you can use to write to your backend systems or even to get data to show to your user. All right, so that's the Power Virtual Agent. Now we have a fourth one actually, and I didn't take it into account as a fourth option because it's very specific. And I'll just go through immediately to some small demos so you have an overview of what it does. So if you go to helpbot.microsoft.com, you have the Helpbot service. And as it says, it's really built for the healthcare industry. And you have a couple of scenarios that are already there. You can also build fully your own. We have booking appointments, mental health checkers, handoff to a human, claiming a file for insurance, or looking up certain doctors that you need. But in this case, we will click on the COVID-19 triage, click on import, and you will see a full flow of what the bot needs to do. Now you see multiple languages, you see yes, no parts, switches to different locations and so on. So if you click run, you will have an overview of how this one is working. So just a privacy statement, where are you located? Well, I was going to say the US. Select your state. And then it's asking you questions about if you're ill or not. Notice in this bot now, in this example, we're not asking the users to input any text, because this makes it easier for older generation to use these tools also. They just have to click on buttons within their on the website of the hospital, for example. With Arinti, we've been working together now with Microsoft to get these COVID-19 bots online in multiple hospitals at the moment, and we see the usage is very good. Now we have also in languages localizations, where we can have all the text that is set and easily put it in different languages. So your chatbot can get multilingual. Of course, we have also authentication, and you can put it on multiple channels. By default, web chat and direct line is available, but also Teams and so on are available. If you want to have other bot framework channels, then you can request them through support. And also on this part, you have reports to show you the usage of your bots. An interesting one is also the unrecognized utterances. So if someone says something that cannot be mapped to anything within your bot, then you will get a list of it here, so you know what your users are talking about, and can go on to update your bot and make it smarter. So we talked about 4 different ways of building chatbots instead of 3. Surprise, you got an extra one. Now let's talk about some little tools. When I was supposed to build this, when I started building this presentation, I think next time I need to start with the tools first, because I'm going to ask you, what company of Elon Musk makes flamethrowers? Well, I hope you all know now that it's the Boring Company. Well, the Boring Company has a website, as every organization has, but it has also a very boring FAQ list. It just has questions and answers, question and answer, question and answer, question and answer, question and answer all the time. Now, we want to get this text more, we want to use it in a chatbot. So for that, we'll copy just the link of the FAQ list. We go to Q&A Maker, and we create a new knowledge base. We'll just select some services here. We say the bot needs to be in English. We give it a name, Boring Company, and populate your knowledge base. We'll paste in the FAQ URL. And we say create your KB. To give it a couple of seconds to load. Alright, and here we have all the questions ready for you to use. Every FAQ item. Notice took the first one also, which is not really a question, so we'll just remove that one. It's just an introduction to the company. Now let's save and train so we can try and see how it works. So we have our first question, why tunnels? But now I want to ask, okay, what about tunnels? Is that also going to work, since it's not the same? So what about tunnels? And the bot returns exactly the same answer as to why tunnels. The nice thing is we have the inspect knob here, so we can also see what the confidence score is of that question, and we could add it as extra phrases to the current tunnel as alternative phrasing. So this knowledge base can be added then to your bot framework SDK, to the composer. There's also different ways to add it to your Power Virtual Agent, and even to the Helpbot services. So the Q&A Maker is free of code. You don't need to code anything at all. As we showed, it has automatic extraction of existing FAQ lists, or from a Word document even. It has a new functionality that's added last year. It's called multi-turn conversation. With multi-turn conversation, the cool thing is that, for example, we are building a chatbot for a local government, and one of the questions that they wanted is like, okay, I am looking for a school. Where can I find a school? Well, then the question the bot could ask is, okay, what kind of school are you looking for? Are you looking for a music school, a sports school, nursery, university? So that will be an extra question that is sent to your user, and based on that, you will get a better detailed answer. Now, active learning is also very nice. With active learning, when the same question is asked multiple times within the same timing, and we don't have an answer on it, that question will be added into a list, so it can be added later on. But another option is also that when two questions are very close to each other and confident, that the bot will ask you, did you mean this one or did you mean this one? And based on that, it will assist your Q&A maker to get it smarter, to get to the correct answer. Now, scaling, of course, is also very important. If you have 10 users at the same time, or you have 1,000 users at the same time, Q&A maker is built on some very sophisticated services like the Azure Search component and an app plan, and these ones are very scalable to be able to use hundreds or thousands of users. Now, it supports also more than 50 languages. I'm from Belgium, so Dutch is very important, and that's included, so I'm very happy about that. Now, we already discussed a bit LUIS, the language understanding tool of Microsoft, but I want to go a little bit more in detail of what exactly it does. So, if I say I want to book a flight, we need to recognize that we need to start the tenant book a flight. So, book a flight is the intent of the user. Now, the user can say at the same time, I want to book a flight to JFK. Now, we still know the intent is book a flight, but we also got some extra information. We know where he wants to go to, and that's the entity. That's JFK. Now, the same thing can happen that he adds another entity. I want to book a flight from Brussels to JFK. So in this case, we know the intent, but we also have entities that are actually the same. It's an airport, but they have different roles. We have a from and we have a destination. Now, we can also have multiple entities. So in this case, we have again our intent, book a flight. We know where we want to go to, but we also know when we want to go to. Why is this very important? Well, imagine you're using a chatbot and you tell him, I want to book a flight tomorrow to Seattle. And then your chatbot asks, oh, okay, you want to book a flight. Where do you want to go to? Yeah, but I just said it. So that makes your chatbot a bit more like a human, because it will already know what details you've been given beforehand. So LUIS is very important within using or building a chatbot. Now, voice enabling, all the tools we've discussed, the Bot Framework SDK and the Composer, they're built specifically to easily enable it to make it as a voice bot. I showed you already encode that just by adding something small, by actually duplicating your text, it's immediately voice enabled, and you can activate it, for example, through a telephone central or your smart speakers. Now, we're reaching to the end of this talk, and let's talk a bit about money. Now, first one, Bot Framework SDK, and we'll take the Composer into account also, because at the end they use exactly the same services. If you talk about the kind of services they use, well, by default, if you don't use any extra service like LUIS or Q&A Maker, then it's only an app service that is running on your Azure plus a bot channel registration. The bot channel registration is free of charge as long as you don't use the premium channels. Premium channels is for the moment a direct line and web chat. This means that per 1,000 messages you'll pay like I think it's €1 or something, or even less. It's quite cheap. But of course, depending on the amount of users, you will need an app service plan on a higher tier. Now, if you think about Q&A Maker and so on, this all needs to be added to it, and that depends again on how many users you have. If we talk about Power Virtual Agent, well, that's a fixed price. Power Virtual Agent costs $1,000 for a limited amount of conversations. I think it's $2,000 per month. There's options to increase that by paying a bit more. The Healthbot is also, you have a free channel, well, a free tier where you can have, I think it's 2,000 messages also, or 3,000 messages. And then again, it depends on how much users you have that will increase the price. To conclude, when do you need to use what? If you are a business user and you don't want to spend money on consulting, what is bad for me, of course, well, then you need to use a Power Virtual Agent. Although the price per month is quite high for your Azure consumption, you need to keep in mind that you don't have any development cost on it from external resources. It's a very easy tool to use, and it's very friendly to use, let's say it like that. And it's really built for business users. Now, if you want to do more advanced stuff, you want to make a smarter bot, you want to have more integrations with other tools, well, then you will need to go to Bot Framework SDK or the Composer. The Bot Framework SDK will be able to do everything. There will be limitations on the Composers because it's a UI. You do not have the freedom of building code as what you can do straight with the SDK. Now, of course, if you have specific related chatbots to the health industry, then think about using the Healthbots of Microsoft, and which is also very good. Now, if you have any questions, well, don't hesitate to ask them now, or just ping me on my Twitter handle at Sammy Deprez. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope we can see each other very soon again. Thank you.